Tai-no-Henko, you are subconsciously picturing the XY axis. You're ignorantly using the 12-6 line. So I'm looking west, he's looking east, and then we change direction. In Waza, though, you shouldn't have that line. You shouldn't have that line in Tai-no-Henko. But in Waza, especially when you're doing Ki-no-Nagare, the Tenkan goes not where an arbitrary geometry sets it up, but where I can stay in this back corner behind him. So if you look at the 12-6 line, this line, you'll see that I actually am not doing a 12-6 Tenkan. So I can stay behind him. 12-6. He tells me where I take. Equally, 12-6, he goes around, and I do this. I'm still in front of him. Here, I'm in front of him. I have to stay in that back corner. So, as we're moving around, boom, I'm back here. Again, I'll step where he tells me to step, and when he tells me to step, not wherever. Stay in the back, in other words. Boom, boom, back. Back corner, back corner. Your irimi, the next irimi here, is always going to be slow if it is not your irimi that gets your hand out of the grip. Because you will have to do two moves at this, one after the other. So you're going to go here, we'll leave it at this angle, and you're going to have to go wait, 1, 2. Let us assume that you're actually strong enough to do that. I know I'm not. I'm not going to do that at any kind of martially viable speed. It's not Aikido either. So this grip release is using the same principle you will use all the time. Overstress the tendons in the forearm so the fingers start to malfunction. The grip now loses its integrity and you can get out. So, how I do that is with the irimi angle. Oh, I'm here, leave that there, and enter, and you'll be out. So he's here, boom. The grip's already weakened. By going for the elbow, not by pulling this off, leaving it in its weakened state, enter, and his wrist will try to follow, and as it does, it's going to move into that position, and you are escaped. Boom, hop, not off, turn, and irimi, your body does the escape. So you'll know you're doing it incorrectly if there's a moment when his hand's not on my wrist and I'm not touching his elbow. If you did it correctly, you will be on his elbow at the time it comes off your arm, not before. Boom, hop. Because that's the movement that gets my wrist out. This is dreaming. Okay? And so as you're trying to move, you can't keep the Ki-no-Nagare because you have to wait. You have to wait for, then you go. Just keep going. Okay, let's go. You cannot just step wherever on the irimi for the tenkan. So when I go out, I can't step here, I can't step there, I can't step too deep, I can't step too shallow. There is a particular place I have to be. And you're not going to have a new tactic. Aikido uses the same tactics all the time. So there's not a new introduction of a tenkan or an irimi angle. It's the same. So if I was to do Omote, let's just get to the irimi. Same thing. I can't go into the armpit. It doesn't matter even if I bring my arm here. You can see it starts to rotate him. And I can't go obviously behind. There's a place I have to go. And that place is always referencing his four corners. The four corners that I use, I also use against him. So this will make more sense if he's in some kind of guard defense. And let's just look at a knee pass. So whatever knee pass you're doing, this knee of mine always goes into this hip area, right here. If I go down low, he'll be able to bring his knee up and I'm back where I was. Even if I'm threading down here, as I come around, I'll get to half guard, or he'll be able to thread it again and I'm back in. So when I thread the knee slice, I'm always interested in that pocket right there. Another way of looking at it is side control has that knee here. If I want to pressure my cross face on him and I want to lean, let's say I do this leg, but let's say for some reason I do this leg, I've now freed that hip and he's going to get me back in, which is why if I'm going to move this knee from that hip, I have to first replace it, and now he can't do that maneuver. This hip corner is vital because it checks his leg weapons out, the ability for him to use his lower extremities. So, let's say he's going, boom, and he comes, let's say he comes forward, right? I'm going to be able to rotate behind him. He was too far forward of the hip corner. Now he's going to go back, too far back. You see? And just like when I remove my knee from the side control, he does not control my knee. Boom! What you want to see is the line of attack potential there. So when I come in, just like on Omote, I'm coming in front of that hip. Boom! And like all Aikido, that angle of cancellation on the leg is concentric with the Kazushi angle, is concentric with the front inward spiral. So as his head goes that way, his hip goes that way. So I use the arm of Ikkyo to bring his head that way, and the Idimi takes his hip that way. So I'm always going to use that tactic, but I do achieve it slightly differently in Ura than in Omote. So I come around, you're going to see, let's change angle, that as I enter in front of that hip, I can't be as close as I was in Omote. I'm back here. And when I begin the rotation, rather than in Omote, I bring my hip to him. In this Ura, I bring his hip to me. So I don't want to go here. Yes, you did it, but this is now weak for turning. I go in here, and in the rotation, I bring this hip to me. But the angle I'm at is in front of that hip. Not way back here. And not way in here. You use that hip as a reference point. Boom, pop, here, a head on the spiral. There it is. Because concentrically, when I am too far forward, this is to my right. And it's going to be hard to get to my left. And weirdly, when I'm too far back, same thing. These moves here are not going to work. I step where I need to be, and his elbow will be on my center line the entire time. Boom, boom, pop. So again, just micro drilling that. You hear a head and elbow hand on my center line. And the drill. Boom, hip, boom, boom. Elbow hand goes to my center. Every one of these is a failure. Don't kid yourself even if your uke goes for you. Let's go. How do I achieve the throw? Let's go to here. Oh, I'm doing the inward spiral. Boom. Of Kokyuho. And that spiral gets the front inward kazushi. This is Nagewaza. You want to make sure that you're doing that. Boom, right here. Boom. Otherwise, you have a person that's just standing there. And you're doing it again. Let's say, for example, he feels his balance and he lets go. Well, you don't grab that arm. And think you're going to do Ikkyo. He's going to be too much base. Okay? So let's just say that happens. I come around, he lets go. I have to go to his arm, not his arm. If I can't get his body, let's go, right? Boom, I'll tap his neck. But I must treat a standing person as a person that is fully capable of fighting. Can't be someone I just can take his arm and move him around. So make sure that you have a good kazushi angle. That you establish the front inward spiral. Boom. Okay, because that throws his weight on the other leg. And what's going to happen is one or two things as I come into this Ura Ibiri. He will either have the Shikaku angle get him, or the good Uke, and what everyone should do, is he will bring that foot around. And that usually F's everyone up, except for the choreographed Uke, who only does that to step down and lower themselves. But if I'm doing my adhesion to do what you're seeing as bringing him around, as opposed to my leverage, this is sliding him around, not fulcrum lever, and centrifugal energy. I'm not doing that. That's not Ki-no-Nagare. Boom. Ki goes into that spiral and is bringing him around this way. He then does that step, and we'll go back to this drill. The Aiki adhesion loads up the Kokyu projection. So he has energy. He's got to give me energy for this to work. So I yield and boom, he hits the Kokyu projection. He hits it. Same thing's going to happen here. One, boom, kazushi, he steps. And as he steps, he presses into the elbow hand, which moves from the Aiki adhesion to the Kokyu projection. Then I just stay up with him. So he threw himself, and I stay up with him. So boom, up, boom, around, boom, and I stay with him. It looks like me going down is what shoves him down, but it's not. I'm just staying with him. So you actually need his countering resistance, his non-surrendering. Okay, so going back to this, and the uke who's not alive. Okay, so remember how you were bending. He's basically countering the Kokyu projection. So if he's got energy in his arm, then you can project it all day. But as he goes mushi, your energy gets like steam out of a leaky valve. But what you do is you find his projection. So even though I touch his chest, I'm not pushing him. So let me not make it so confusing. Okay, so he's letting his arm bend this way. Do you see that? Yes. So I can find it going around that point, and find his center back inside his hand. So here we're doing a technique, and you'll see he's not taking that counter step. And I said that's one of the two things that Shiruke will do. It does not mean that as you come around, you're now doing a standard disequilibrium. It falls outside his base of support, and I keep pushing it. Now, you're still doing a Kokyu projection. You're just doing it on that foot. There we go. That foot, I still project. So here's me pushing it down, and here's me projecting it down. The feeling should still be the same. Whoa, you should project. You should project on whatever yang energy he's giving you. He's always going to give you yang energy. Even if he takes it out of the arm, you will always find it because his matter and his gravity is always going to give you some yang. So don't start pushing this. Find the projection, find his center, so you can do a projection, and then you stay up with the projection. Boom. Balance. Boom. Boom. I stay up with the projection. It's not me using my weight and overpowering him. He pushes into me. I reconcile the yang energy, and then I return it.